And now on to the red game.
Well done.
I'm Daniel, aka Ben Solitude from United Archons Prime. I'm playing in this code with some of the other United Archon Prime players, Jupiter and Pirate. We've we've played in previous codes, but kind of separately. So this is the first time we're playing together, all as a team. And of course, I'm from the West Coast, Jupiter's on the East Coast, and Pirates in Australia. So from all over. Um, the deck that I'm playing this round is a Worlds Collide deck. Saurian, Star Alliance, and Untamed. And I like in these kind of SASCAP things. I like going for the Star Alliance World Collide decks a lot because you have um, zaps and things that work well when there are a lot of different houses, and I find a lot of the time you can get a lot of value from those in SASCAP because people are bringing a lot of strange stuff. It's not in straight Archon, you see a lot more Star Alliance and becomes less good. Star Alliance, sorry, and becomes with the zaps and stuff becomes less good. But I really enjoy playing it in SASCAP. This deck has an auto legionary, which unfortunately no longer makes the zaps insane. That was originally that was one of the big draws of this deck, and I played it a lot because of that combo, just because I love doing 9 damage with my zaps, but that doesn't happen anymore, obviously. A big it has a lot of capture, but not really any way to deal with having amber on your creatures. You just sort of have to hope they don't have the creature control when it's when they need it, and the stealth modes kind of are the really the best way to try and protect everything. They protect against a lot of the stealing. They protect against a lot of the board control. Um, and so that I mean that's kind of the plan is to try to go fast and use stealth modes to protect everything. I've taken a look. I've done a little bit of analysis of what the key cards and stuff are. I haven't really had a chance to play any full actual games, but I think it will be a really interesting matchup. It has a lot of the kind of cards I don't really want to see. You know, it has some death forks and lights out and kind of stuff that deals with the big Saurian bodies and the big untamed bodies pretty easily. Um, you know, the deck obviously does better against damage based board control. And then TMTP is obviously always an issue. So I think you know, as I said, I haven't actually played any test games, but I think it really will come down to getting the stealth modes at the right time and using the stealth modes to push past a lot of the, you know, the kind of typical cope plan of just playing a whole ton of actions. Um, so I think the timing on that will be important. I feel like Smack Talk is only for people I know really well, and when we're playing, you know, well, as I mentioned in the chats, playing against Tech Slut, being from Israel, we haven't played a whole ton, so I don't really have anything for this week.
And moving to the red.
How do you feel about the Glorious Fuse, though? Just really quickly.
Oh, sure. Glorious Fuse.
There's two. Does it feel like they're just like maybe not going to happen?
Well, it's in a deck with 20 creatures, and I feel like if they are happening, you might not be in the greatest situation, but you could totally just win a game on them, like by getting that last massive check. The problem is that Marx isn't super trying the board, to my knowledge.
No, it's just not.
Yeah. Moving quickly to the red here.
Now here's a deck that wants the board.
Yeah, we've often talked about, like, you know, in the matchups, if you were able to just flip them around, it would turn out totally different.
Right. If you just if you randomized who plays who, you get a totally different, you know.
Yeah, and that's just like kind of arbitrary matchup, rock paper scissors stuff sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll let you start with Miss
Milk.
That's like a tongue twister.
3 decks, 3 like, you know, alliterative titles. I don't know why. So this deck is really cool. I'm really into parts of it. So the Saurian, what immediately stands out is the amount and quality of creatures. And it's nothing too crazy. They're basically all, you know, commons except for pterodactyl. But when you're doubling up on Thero, Tricerian, Brutodon, you just have so many taunts, wards, Imperium for another ward, and of course double tribute. So it's a very like beefy Saurian line. I'm super into that. I just want to, you know, board with it and let them take care of things. In Star Alliance, it's kind of a totally different story because this is just an action-heavy Star Alliance versus a creature-heavy Saurian. That said, having triple stealth mode and 2 zaps is great in just about any deck. And then, you know, you have a little bit of a Light of the Archons thing going on. I'd kill for some more upgrades, and with Psyophagus or Morpheus, you're going to see some playabilities happen twice, which there are some good options throughout the deck. Tricerian Legionary doing it for double wards, Centurions to capture 2, Mustic Murmook. There's some options for that, for getting a lot out of that Morpheus. Now in Untamed, I think the big thing is the Taliga and the Mimicry. The rest is great. It's just like a typical kind of standard Untamed. But those are going to be, I mean, if they can probably protect its Taliga. It's like a pretty heavy, you know, creature protection deck. Then Mimicry, you know, I'll let you get into your deck, but I can already tell there's lots of great options. So.
Oh, sure. No, I mean, yeah, I mean, that was I was happy to hear more about it. I was just like kind of nerding out because I'm a huge Taliga nut, like as far as like making that card work.
Oh yeah.
And like you've got the card. I mean, you've got like multiple taunts and wards, and then the camouflage with the Light of the Archons. Like there's, it's pretty nice. So yeah, I mean, moving to Cosmo here, we've got another library access time traveler deck here, and I believe this one is piloted by TechSlut. And what is really interesting about this deck and unique is that you do have that library access time traveler combo, which is going to draw you a bunch of cards. You're going to end with a Scrambler Storm, ideally. So you've like put out some creatures, you've made it so they can't play actions. This deck is a double Novu deck, which I do think that people, generally speaking, super underestimate this card. And the reason that they underestimate the card is that you have to have it out, and then it archives, and then you can play the thing the following turn. But the thing is, if you have Scramblered, and then you have it out, you can continue to Scrambler until they kill you, essentially, right? Like you can get into these kind of Scrambler loops with the Novu, especially if you get one out that's alive, and then you library access, do your combo, and then you can just have it right away. So once one is alive and ready, it becomes the same as the Witch of the Eye, which this deck also has. Now, moving to the shadows, so we have this huge amount of recursion and logos where we can pull what we need. The shadows is just kind of like a standard, really nice like utility shadows though, right? Because we've got a Lights Out, which is great against that Saurian, hypothetically, or any Saurian. You have the double Miasma just to hold tempo a little bit, to fuel your Too Much to Protect, double Nerve Blast so that you can get that steal to get them off at 6. So like it all works very like synergistically within the shadows. The Untamed is going to have a Fog Bank, which is going to be able to protect its Witch of the Eye, which is super, super nice. Nocturnal Maneuver, which is going to take a creature heavy, hypothetically, if they were up against a deck with, I don't know, 20 creatures. Nocturnal Maneuver could be a really, really nice kind of showstopper there. The Ancient Bear is going to give you some fight ability with the Holocores. But we're talking about the big star of the show there is if you can stick that Witch of the Eye and protect it with a Fog Bank, and then you can start cycling cards. So we've got 2 houses that can cycle cards, and then the Shadows is going to prevent tempo by your opponent. So we've got 2 ways of generating tempo via recursion and then subtraction of tempo. Going to the specific matchup, my issue is that I have 15 action cards and you have 3 stealth modes, and I think I'm in trouble. I really do.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of what I was thinking. And that this, I was wondering, it's like, does it matter that your deck Cosmo is just gonna go faster, probably keep the pace amber wise if it's not getting stealth moded like every single turn? But it's like, it feels like the big amber control plays, Miasma, Nerve Blast, Too Much to Protect, are just a stealth mode away from becoming really frustratingly like 1 turn too late kind of thing.
Sure. So here's the way that I see this playing out is I would agree that like I could get ahead, but I think that it's a really tough matchup for Cosmo because if I don't have a stealth mode, I have a tribute.
Right.
And really all I need to do is stick you off of key. We do have the Bouncing Death Quark, like if I have not stealth moded you to kind of get that amber back, but it becomes a really, really tough matchup. In particular, because let's say that I hit you for a big Too Much to Protect in one of those situations, the 5 Eyes Classified deck also has a Mimicry to copy the Too Much to Protect.
Right. I was just thinking that too, and it's interesting both decks have Mimicries. So the minute that like stealth mode, tribute, and then any of the action cards like Miasma, like any of those just make their way into the discard, it's like I think you're gonna get some really interesting game states with those double Mimicries.
Yeah, in particular, like stealth moding the stealth mode deck could come up massive if you have your Untamed turn. Like, let's say you like Fog Bank into a Mimicry to hit a stealth mode, and then like, so it's like they can't fight, they can't play actions, and you stick a Witch of the Eye.
Yeah, that's big.
You could start like looping their stealth modes in this kind of weird way.
Yes, although you probably won't be able to continue the fog process, but that is an interesting loop for sure.
I'm just trying to think of any way to kind of get the tempo ahead of this, right? Because I think that Miss Milk has this way that it's gonna be able to keep you off of keys with tributes, and then it's going to be able to stick its own keys with the stealth modes. And I don't think there's a huge way around that for Cosmo,
right?
With the exception of some kind of mega high roll early.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is that Miss Milk is not only just going to create this massive board, just massive effective power, but like the protection, I think is just fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to get at those creatures.
Yeah, and like you kind of said, the Taliga is probably going to be pretty sticky. It's also, we didn't even mention the fittest. I mean, these creatures are going to be pretty huge,
right?
After a certain point. Plus the Light of the Archons. There's going to be at least one creature that is just massive.
Sure, and my only out to a truly massive creature is to Lights Out it, Bouncing Death Quark. Everything else is kind of like fighty. I mean, if it's under a taunt, like things are not going to help me a bunch. I do have a Mimicry, but you don't have any like real creature control for me to copy.
Yeah, there's pretty much none besides the Zaps, which I guess could do something. But Zaps, I feel like, are just going to help you remove wards if that's like really
sure.
What you do. I mean, you do have an Untamed that can certainly fight, and you know, it's not out of the question that you get some fighting, some important fighting done.
Yeah.
there's like a saurian creature with like 5 amber on it, it might be worth doing.
Sure. Yeah, but I think in sum here though, if you agree with me, it's like Miss Milk has so many ways of creating its own tempos, subtracting from yours, and then like solidifying its checks with the stealth mode.
Mhm.
And then of course it's going to be able to, as you had kind of emphasized, it's going to be able to stick its own tempo on the board extremely well. So it's got like 3 different ways of kind of having plus tempo over Cosmo here, I believe. So I think that this is the way it'll shake out. You feeling the same way?
I am. There's this weird part of me that's like, but Cosmo.
I
And I
know
don't know
Cosmo's such a good deck.
I don't know why it is, but is there something in there like that might, because obviously the logos is great, but it's kind of insular in the sense there's no like phase shift or helper bot or anything going on there. Um,
Yeah.
is that Carlo Phantom gonna put in work?
Um,
Or is
I
it
mean,
just,
I'm looking at it real quick. There's not a card that I had put a lot of emphasis on, but I don't even know if we have any artifacts. I
right?
don't see any.
Yeah, I'm
No.
just trying to find some like
Oh, we
interesting
have a Chaos Portal, but it's going to be a steel one. Like,
right.
yeah, there's no.
You have Secret Needle and Special Delivery.
Oh, sure. Sorry. So yeah, a few. You could steal a few. It might get you. It might save you to get off of a check or something. But I just think
Yeah, it's probably used.
I think that you hit the nail on the head too, and we'll use this as kind of a closing thought, I believe, time-wise. But the library access turn in Cosmo is not going to expand outside of logos like it did in Kinzeb, right? Like, there's no chance for this unbelievable board-expanding high roll that is going to be able to overcome the kind of tempo advantages that Miss Milk has, in my view.
It almost needs another bouncing death mark, which is not a thing, or like a standardized testing, just to really like. And that's a different thing, but like just that extra creature control with a library access turn, I think would really be massive because
Right.
it's gonna get boarded and.
Yeah, and like to say it again, like Cosmo is a absolutely fantastic deck, especially at 70 SAS. So this seems to be largely a matchup dependent kind of thing. But
Yeah, which is what usually happens come, you find your matchup for the week.
yeah, right. Yeah. So anyway, enjoy the show.
Here we go. We're live. Right. Thank you for that third and final deck breakdown from the Swindle. Thanks to Karen and Woody for getting on top of that. Now, what do you think here of
Texel have
these?
very early library access, but mulligans it away.
Curious. But that's a health and future self starting hand. I'd say definitely.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't mulligan that. I'd go for the hidden stash on the library access and set up a nice big shadows turn.
Yeah.
But Exo Taper, Light of the Archons, Stealth Mode, and Hold does that? Holds does that. With a Stunner and a Frame being drawn, that is.
Ooh, nice.
Time Traveler draws 2 more Shadows cards.
Not terrible,
Archaeologist, and holds the bouncing Death Clock, so efficiency not going to be the greatest with these stealth modes and scramble storms hanging around.
No, not at all.
Play Stunner, use that to reap, stuns the Archaeologist, zaps the Time Traveler, plays the Frame, and then drops the map. The map gets to 6.
Curious, yeah, fair enough, makes sense. Not enough of too much to protect to be useful, but
yeah, 6 is an issue for too much to protect, but drops it down. Needle, Urchin, and then you gotta light out that Taper. And Frame, you don't want to give the extra map the mad value. Teal'c could be really useful here. We've seen how useful Teal'c can be, but with a handful of Saurian, that's probably the better choice. Drops Auxiliary.
yeah.
Legionary to ward up Auxiliary.
Other Legionary comes down.
Ward up Legionary, but the Tribute only doesn't exalt, which is a good choice. They weren't unchecked, they weren't too far up. Imperial and Pterodactyl here now. Texel knows his 2 Star Alliance cards in the hand, so knows that those chains are there. second archaeologist, and here we got Bouncing Deathwork. Both Urchin and Archaeologist were used to get rid of Auxiliary, but Pan Solitude does get the first key, drops Taper, drops Frame, and plays Export Rover rather than equipping it.
But look
They're
at that.
both protecting it.
But look at that dinosaurs they've drawn as well.
There's a huge dinosaur draw. We see now. The Teal'ca coming down would have been absolutely huge, especially if you could get behind the taunters. Mimicry to copy Zap deals with the Taper, very nicely done. So we see Scramble Storm and Dexter in hand. Even though Band Solitude is a key ahead, not too far difference in terms of pure amber. Quest to Jar, however, going to be an issue, and here comes the tribute onto the Pterodactyl with the Exalt. So Band Solitude is basically saying, I know you can't deal with this Pterodactyl, especially since it's warded. And now we'll see the Teal'ca turn.
Yeah.
Halakar comes down, which means fight into Pterodactyl, which is with Skirmish, fight with the other, which doesn't have Skirmish, and boom, takes it down. Very nicely done. Plays Fogbank, reaps with the Niffleape, and here comes the turn that I was expecting. Teal'ca, very nicely done. Mustic Marook, making them pay extra for the keys, gets rid of Halakar. Skirmish, very powerful with those Ancient Bears. And Rustlin got Camouflage, only creatures on the flank can attack Teal'ca. Texel does get the key.
But he ain't got much else. She ain't got much else at the moment with that selection, unfortunately.
Ancient Bear gonna have to take out the Teal'ca. Reap. Plays the Marook. Plays the Marook, putting the keys cost up to 8 for Band Solitude. But we see Marook go down, and we see the Seeking Needle get taken out. Goes up to 7. Gonna play Mad the Mad guys go is back in hand. Plays the Fittest, and what happened there? The board just got completely wiped. Special delivery. Miasma could getting the Miasma this late after we saw the loss of the 2 Much Protect. So it's going to keep Band Solitude off the second key. There isn't really a way to stop Texel getting this key, but Stealth Mode is going to ensure that Band Solitude gets the second key.
Yeah.
Even though there's nothing handcuffed. And this means that Scramble Storm can't be used. Dexter's going to take Band Solitude back to 9. A Purge and Mad the Mad, very nicely done. Discards the Scramble Storm. Band Solitude gets the 3. Stealth Mode again! And that wins it. Nerve Blast was the only answer that Texel had. And
There we go.
Texel says the Stealth Mode played out the turn. Very well done. But passes it over to Band Solitude. And the 5 Eyes Classified take the win, which will all come up very soon. There we go. 1 to 2, and then it should in a couple of seconds. Wow.
So for 1 to United Archons Prime or 5 Eye Classified, their sub team with Jupiter, Ben Solitude, and Axio Pirate. Is that the right way of saying it?
Axios Pirate.
Axios Pirate. Well done to the guys for winning this week's featured game. So